When I finally got back to him, I made the decision not because I had gotten over my fear, but because I was still afraid. In my training, I faced something called the slave mind. I also faced something called the mastermind or the free mind, but I'll get into that later. Now, the slave mind is tricky. It'll devise any slick way around work. Work is the physical action that resonates to all dimensions of your being. That's why we want to work smarter and not harder. But the slave mind always ends up working harder, because it always dedicates its energy to the vision of another instead of having the courage to go out on its own. In my training, I fought the slave mind long before I even thought about fighting my opponent. Slave mind would say, oh, you know, you don't want to push yourself too hard. You don't want to get sick. Slave mind would say, well, you know you don't have as much fighting experience as he do. Slave mind would say, you know you're not as good on the ground as he might be. I said, you know what, slave mind? You might be right. But I'll never know if I don't try. You have to fight the slave mind. Turn it into a mastermind. To purge your fear, first you must accept its presence. I'm ugly. Accept where you heard that. Where did that thought come from? Who told you that? I am beautiful. I'm not smart. Why don't you think you're smart? You might have to change your belief systems about what smart is and looks like. Purge those attachments that lead to suffering and to slavery. Now, when you take your life into your own hands and say, I am ready to be the powerful vessel that I know I am, life's gonna test you. See if you're really telling the truth. 3 weeks before my fight, I ended up in a hospital for 3 days with a sickle cell crisis, pain, back, legs, shoulders, everywhere. Couldn't walk, couldn't barely think, couldn't barely stand. Pain. I'm thinking, oh, it's over. I'm done. Nothing I can do. I might as well call the promoter right now and say, hey, man, I'm sorry. Slave mind. That was my fear talking. There is nothing you cannot do without first truthfully knowing where you stand. So I said to my slave mind, you know what? Let's flip the script a little bit. Somehow I knew I was more powerful than the circumstances placed before me. Somehow, just out of nowhere, that's your mastermind talking. I said, I'm going to fight. My spirit made a decision and would not be moved. When we find that we have faced the truth through acceptance and rid ourselves of old belief systems and the slave mind through purging, we find ourselves in a place where we will not be moved. Now we can create. To create, you must visualize. You must see the life that you want right before you. I visualized my hand being raised many, many times, long before I even stepped into that octagon. I saw this in my mind's eye so much that it was almost identical to the exact way that it happened. I saw it, I felt it, I breathed it, I thought the thoughts of a winner, I felt the emotions of the winner, I saw the sights of a winner. Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest before anyone else did. Now he's referred to as the greatest of all times. The slave mind waits while the mastermind creates. I'll say it again. The slave mind waits while the mastermind creates. The slave mind waits for someone to tell them that you can be, do, have, experience. The slave mind waits for someone else to tell you that you won. The mastermind, a free mind, says I can fly without wings. Forget regret, experience every moment. Say it with me. Forget regret, experience every moment. You know, in the first round, as you saw, I found myself on my back, full full-mounted punches raining down on me from my opponent. I was scared. I was shaken up. I was thinking, oh my God, what am I doing here? What's going on? Where did my training go? I accepted my predicament. I accepted my limitations. I accepted where my opponent was on top of me, and I realized something. He's not hurting me. My opponent was my fear.
Wait a second.
When I realized this, I purged my fears from myself. I realized that I could do it.
Yes.
I became eerily calm and eerily patient. First round over. Second round, ding, ding, ding. I created. I succeeded.
Yes.
He was wearing out. He was tired. I am free.
I am free.
I want to conclude by saying the purpose of life is mastery. To master life, you need to be a leader. You need to be the president of the United States of you. Be your own mini dictator. Chris Christopherson said, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. I want to say to you now, don't worry about what there is to lose. Imagine yourself losing it, and then move on.
Yes.
Because what there is to gain will surpass your wildest expectations.
Amen.
Thank you very much.